it doesn't matter who you were. Uh, and you always, no matter what you think you did in your past,
Yep.
God will use it.
I think that is probably one of the most gangster moves God always does, right? Because I think, you see these people who have a lot of influence, or like people like Saul, who's definitely had some attributes where it's like, dude, he was good at his job.
Right.
And you would think, I think Christians like, oh, we need to take him out, like kill him for doing this. Where God's like, no, 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 no. I'm going to take him and bring him on our team.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is like how powerful God is, right? He's so above and beyond how we can think as mortals. And he's like, no, 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 no. Watch this. And I think he does that with so many of us as well, especially guys from our past career. It's like, this dude he was doing the wrong things, but man, he was good at it. He has like all these traits that we could use on our side.
Hey, what's up, guys? So today's episode is brought to you by our proud sponsor, Elevated Silence. This is one of my favorite sponsors, not only because Jim Hood is a very dear, close friend of mine. He's been on this podcast several times, but because I am an avid user of this product. As you guys know, I love to go to the range. I love to train civilians and law enforcement. And this is the suppressor that I use each and every time I go to the range. I can tell you this, every time I bring it out, I get nothing but compliments of just how quiet it is. People are always looking for these differences in suppressors. They want it lightweight, but with lightweight, it's probably going to be a little bit louder. The heavier the weight, it's going to be quieter. And I think Jim has found the perfect combination of both, which is why I love the suppressor. He makes everything from 22 to 300 Norma. So if you guys are looking for a suppressor for your rifle or pistol, be sure to check Elevated Silence out. Use the code SMS15 to get 15% off. And also he has some awesome merch for these red hats and this red shirt right now. If you purchase it, a percentage of the proceeds goes to the American Suppressor Association, which will defend your rights to be able to use suppressors as you should, as any American should. All right. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, welcome back to Shoot Me in Straight with Eddie and Dave. Today we have an awesome guest, Dennis Price. Where did you drive from?
From East Georgia right now.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
dude.
5.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, and I'm glad you did, man, because so we met last year. Was it last year?
Yes.
Yeah, in Nebraska, of all places, hunting down Bigfoot,
Yes.
trying to dig up Bigfoot for Chad Robichaw's show, Shadow Figures. Which will be airing, I think, on Discovery.
Yes,
this year.
Hopefully Discovery in 2026.
Yeah.
So super excited.
Yeah, same. But yeah, we linked up there, man, and we got to talking, and it was cool because you're prior Marine, and I obviously was a corpsman with the Marines, but we had a lot in common, especially you having the sniper, your state platoon, and then recon, and Force Recon, and then you actually went to Ranger School. So you have dude, your career is amazing of everything that you were able to accomplish in was it 17 years?
Yeah, I'm currently at 18 and a half because now I stood up helped stand up the very first MARSOC reserve team. I wasn't in state platoon. I served just Big Marine Corps real quick, then came to Recon,
Gotcha.
then Force Recon, and then I'm a Force Recon Marine at MARSOC right now.
Nice.
So
okay, yeah, we'll get into that because I think we haven't had Marines on.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, especially not Marines with your background, and just I think everybody we've had tons of Green Berets and other SEALs, so I mean everybody knows I think at this point
you get excited when there's a Marine.
Yes. I'm like, all right, but yeah, because I don't think a lot of people can comprehend everything that goes into Marine Special Operations or just going down that path in the Marine Corps. And I only got to see it from the infancy stages when I was with 1-8 and just how recon, force, and then that whole change was going to MARSOC at that time, but it hadn't happened. But I do know the route to get there back then it's a long, strenuous one. And especially it's a long, strenuous one, but you're also in the Marine Corps while you're doing it. So that adds on just a little bit more than I think most other branches, in my opinion. But yeah, dude, I'm glad to have you on. And then I definitely want to talk about Heroes for Humanity, right?
yes.
Yeah, and all the good work that you're doing there, and especially the work that you're doing while you're still in helping other veterans, man, it's huge. And I know you have a big story of transition in your life. God you allow God into your life, which I think is the most important aspect of anything.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on. Super stoked that we were on the TV show together.
Yeah.
Hit it right off the bat, and very, very thankful for how the credit scroll at the end of my story, how it's all happening right now. I can't be more thankful in life, and like what you said, truly finding Christ at the end of it. I can walk around truly in inner peace now.
Yeah.
After almost 2 decades of not.
And I've listened to, so I obviously you were on Chad's
Mm.
podcast, and I've listened to that. And I've listened to some of your talks, you know, or some of the other interviews you gave, and the way you describe, which we'll get into, how combat or just being there sort of changed you as a person, and you had like, you were like, I was full of nothing but hatred and pretty much just like hatred and just
Bitterness,
rage. I think a lot of us can relate to that spent our whole 20 years deploying over and over to combat, and just what that does to an individual inside. You know, I tell my kids, because now all my kids are joining the military. You know, my oldest is a Marine, and my youngest is now showing interest. He's like, I want to be a SEAL. You know, and it's not something I push on them, but I'm not worried. And that this is what I told my youngest, is like, I'm not worried about him becoming a SEAL or going to war, like, because he'll be with the best of the best, right? Just like any other special operations branch. But what I'm worried about is the war that it will create up here. That is, as somebody that's gone through it, you know, you're like, that's what I don't want for you. I want you to have a clear, innocent head, you know, your whole life. And I'm like, and those are, if you deploy over and over, it's going to happen, man. You're going to get muddled up there, get different thoughts. And I lived that way too for a long time, with rage, bitterness. I used it as a fuel. So it was like why I kept going back. It was, it's you can convince yourself that it's like, I'm doing this for righteous causes. This is what I do, but it's fueled by anger and bitterness, which, as we know, can lead to a dark and just path. And I think if you're not able to transition, which what you did, find Christ, and like, I'm now using that same drive, same mindset, but it's no longer fueled by rage and hate. It's fueled by love for everybody else.
No, absolutely. Everyone wants the badge. No one wants the baggage.
Yeah.
And I think you being a wise father, acknowledging that ahead of time and preparing him in the foundation of who he is will, you know, what is the saying? It says, an ounce of medicine is better than a pound of cure. So, the prevention. So you're preventing him to leading to that dark path. And I think that's the ultimate goal. You know, I have 4 kids. You have kids, and how do you make sure they don't fall in the same footsteps of the wrongdoings that you did?
Yeah,
You know?
and that's your job as a parent too.
Yeah.
It's to make them better than you were.
Do you think that is somewhat helpful to have that mindset during that time while you're deploying? Like, you almost have to.
That's the conundrum too, right?
Like, you can't, like, you should suffer in silence and that stuff while you're in there. You don't have time to process emotions. And
So you bring a very valid point. So one of my buds, Matt Hyde, he's a SEAL. I'm not sure if you know him.
I know the name.
Okay.
I've heard the name, yeah.
So when he was in the teams, he said that that's what his strength drew from. But at the same time, especially during the GWAT, and like, those are unfavorable things in the teams, or at least kind of early on, like when the 2 wars were kicking, and if you were like looked at as like a holier person or a spiritual man, it was looked at kind of like a weakness, and
it was questioned.
It was questioned.
Okay,
yes.
It because I had guys actually. One of my best friends who was recon forever, became a SEAL, Corbin Cornelison. You ever? So he just probably the biggest man of faith. Didn't swear, didn't drink, but just a rock star, just a freak of a human being when it came to like athletics and just his physical capabilities. But even like, nobody gave him a hard time for it, but I could tell there was like, is he going to do what the right thing, or is he going to like have my back, or is he going to fall onto whatever the Bible's telling him to do, which is ignorance on everybody else's part, right? But that is kind of what I saw, the dynamic of guys that were emboldened in faith and in the platoons, right? It wasn't like they were cast out and like, oh, but it was definitely like, can I trust you? Right.
So one of the biggest lies that the enemy has convinced us, and I can only attest to like the Marine Corps culture, especially back in the like when the two wars were kicking, is I don't know if they said it in boot camp or just like the general feel, but a cliche saying was, "There's no place for God in war." So when I convinced myself, and I don't remember if it was my peer group or where it came, maybe the totality of the circumstances, but as we were building up for that, you'd go to church, all this stuff, and then when you go deploy, like, hey, I'm going to shelf God, I'm going to go do with this, and it's just boom, boom, bitterness, rage. And like you said, or you asked, is do you think it's a tool? Guys like us were able to harness it, but just as nuclear fusion, like any wrongdoing could blow up. So do you channelize that nuclear power to provide power for cities and multitude in a good direction? But unleashed with that, it can blow up. And most of us, I think that's our testimony, is that we harnessed it for so long that we lost control and we lost our place.
Yeah.
Well, you see when a lot of guys transition, it seems like they implode from that.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you're like when you get out, there's nowhere to release that energy, like nowhere good to release that type of energy. It's like you have it and you're like, dude, I'm ready to go do whatever. But it's like, buddy, you need to fix the way that you're thinking on, going forward and what drives you. Because I
remember when you got out.
Oh, you saw me when I was like,
when he got out, he looked nuclear.
Oh yeah.
Like he looked like a nuclear bomb.
Oh, I was
like
so filled with rage and hate and like,
and he's just working out like 7 times a day.
Yeah. And you can only work out so much. And it's like, dude, even all that, it's like, if you're working out 6 times a day and you're still, it's like, buddy, you got a lot of work to do. Yeah. Which I did. And, but yeah, I mean, I think, and that's the conundrum which you brought up, Dave, is like, can you go to war? Can you do that job without that?
How did your friend that was the manifest?
To me, he's the example of like, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Like I point to him, I'm like, dude, he's a great family man. And I'm sure he's dealt with, his issues, because not everybody leaves war unscathed. If you touch war, it's going to touch you back. And but I think he's done, from my perspective, seeing him, I'm like, he's done so much better than all of my other peers as far as transitioning out and then being a family man. So,
yeah. And I think that all helped, that strong foundation prior,
At the very least, you have to like compartmentalize all the stuff going on with you during that time, because you have to shelf your emotions, at least. Like you got to shelf, you're not processing stuff as you're going along, are you? Like you're just shelving that and going, okay, when I get out.
Compartmentalizing it.
Yeah. You compartmentalize it, and then in some ways, I don't see how you couldn't compartmentalize some of it. Like
no, we're trained.
You
have to. Like we're all like I think in any combat arms, but especially in special operations, the common characteristic you can find between all the branches of all guys do that is we are masters at compartmentalizing. We can be like, yup, it's whatever. Everything is very mission focused. And so whatever is not leading you towards that mission and something happened, you're able to just, hey, throw that in the back. Yes, this is impeding me from getting to the target and accomplishing the mission. But you keep throwing stuff back there, that whatever you're doing, it fills up. And then when you retire, it's like now you have a 300-pound rucksack full of stuff that you've compartmentalized, and it ain't going nowhere. Like you need to deal with that.
And I think the Marine, the military, I would say post 2012-ish, started identifying that and doing pretty good on the mental health prior to or previous before deployment, and then the workup, and then on deployment, and then now a way to segue, like to offload that rucksack. But up until that, and I don't even want to say 2012, it was probably like 2015 timeframe when they started doing a good job about it. All up until there, it was nothing. And you just like, and the turnover rates were just so back to back to back to back. 2 wars kicking, Fallujah, Ramadi, then Iraq dies, then Marja kicks off, and then Afghans another big thing. And it's like, dude, and in between deployments, you're back, and you just take that rage and you go out to the bars, and then your buddies are going to the bars, then you're fighting, and then and then you have to still hit other different special operations schools in between there, and then boom, you're right back out the door. So it's prolonged, chronic. I hate to say this, but it's a slowly erosion of your morality, because of that anger, bitterness, rage. I'm gonna go kill. I'm gonna go do this. That's the enemy. Let's go destroy everything in your mindset was devoted to just steal, kill, and destroy the enemy and burn it down. And then when you're back, you're like, okay, hey, I'm just temporarily refitting, getting more skills in these schools, getting drunk with my buds, and then how can I sharpen my knife for the next battle? That boom, what's the next objective? Pow. And then you slowly erode the guy you came into. And that's why I think your bud did so good, is that foundation.
Yeah.
He kept it concise the whole time. And it was the bedrock that he built his inner church on.
Yeah. It reminds me of addiction, to be honest, since you're talking about it. I mean,
so I'll give you, before I want to get into your backstory and everything here. But a perfect example, when I was a buds instructor, I had another one of my good buddies who had been in for a while, and he gave the most like demotivating speech to this class, because they were, I think it's the first week of first phase or about to start, and he's like, brought them all in. And he's like, you guys want to know what it's like to be in the teams? And they're like, yeah, and he's like, imagine, he's like, right now you're a beautiful white bird just flying around. And he's like, below you is a big oil spill, like just nasty oil. And he's like, right now you guys are so free and flying around. He's like, the longer you spend in the teams, like couple years, couple deployments, you dip like a wing into that oil spill that's there. And now you're like barely, flying a little bit, and then more deployments. And he's like, and then before you know it, you're covered in it. And he's like, that's what you got to look forward to. And he like walked out. I was like, all right. But it was from his analogy, I'm like, it makes, that makes sense for a lot of us. Just you get covered in whatever the war covers you in, and it just changes you as a person, unless you have a bedrock of faith, which can protect you from that.
Yeah.
So we'll go. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Western Pennsylvania, in a small town of 1,000 people, in a place called Pitcairn. It's about 45 minutes or an hour southeast of Pittsburgh. So, and then joined the military, the Marine Corps, like junior year of high school in delayed entry program.
Yeah.
Went straight in. This is before internet on phones, and really like I was raised well under the poverty limit. So like no one had computers. The internet still wasn't a thing. And I signed delayed entry program in like 06 timeframe. So no one really had that stuff. So I didn't even know what a Marine looked like. I just knew my uncle was a Marine in Vietnam, and he was a tanker. And I was like, okay, I'll sign today if I can get tanks or machine gunner, and just walk straight into like the mall that had the recruiting thing. Didn't even know anything about the Marine Corps, and then was signed for delayed entry program. All senior year, already had my date. Right after graduation, boom, like 2 weeks later, I was in Parris Island.
Parris Island.
Yeah.
So your uncles inspired you to be a Marine, or something? How did you get that set on? Like, I'm going to the Marine Corps.
Yeah. So I saw 9/11 happen on TV, and I felt the inner patriotism that we all should have. And I was like, well, I don't want someone else to put their name in the hat to defend their country. I feel it's my duty and responsibility to represent my family and my country to do so. So I volunteered, and I didn't know any. I was like, Dad, I think I want to join the military. Maybe the Army. And he's like, why would you join the Army? You should join the Marine Corps. I was like, what's that? And he's like, it's like the Army, but better. He's like, your uncle was a Marine in Vietnam. And then the air quote, it says, it's the best of the best.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay. And I saw a few commercials. I was like, okay, I want to do that.
Slaying dragons.
Yeah. Slay with the sword and everything. And a few of my buds just got back. They graduated early, and then they came back from Fallujah, and I was like, okay, I am doing this. The war was kicking, and very, very glad I did.
How was boot camp for you? since you didn't look into it too much.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
I wrestled in high school, and after boot camp or after some time, every once in a while I go back and back home, and people are like, I'm thinking about joining the military. Or how can I get ready for boot camp? How do I get ready for special operations? I get that a lot.
Yeah.
How do I get ready for selection? And it's a high schooler. I said immediately join the swim team and join wrestling. Statistically, if you join not just swim, because you might not develop the bone density that it takes for impacts, but I was like, wrestlers, not football players, and they have the highest chance. But if you're going to be in special operations like the Marine Corps or the SEALs, you have to swim.
Yeah.
So you could do water polo, but you have to do some swim related. But wrestling from the so being a wrestler in high school, immediately I went through and I was already like the second fastest kid in boot camp, and I weighed 132 pounds because I fought at 135.
Yeah.
And so I was just, and I didn't know how to work out. I just knew cardio. So boot camp was a joke. If you obviously under poverty, you have some hard times, and with that, people like parents are really hard. So if you had parents or figures who yell at you in your or whatever, that's all boot camp is someone yelling you. If you can take yelling and you can physically do it, it was a joke. So I actually left boot camp really disappointed, because my uncle told me, he's like, they beat the crap out of you. He's Vietnam Marine. So I was like, well, dude, I was like, so I went in there. I was like, dude, they're going to beat us the whole time. And like, and I don't want to say anything to degrade the Marine Corps at those years. You know, if there was or was not, I can't confirm or deny, but it wasn't what I thought. And
it's also different people's perspectives, right? It's like maybe when your uncle went, like he wasn't as prepared as you were. So he's like, it was an ass kicking to him. You know, he's like, yeah, this sucks. Because I get that a lot too, you know, and like in Navy boot camp, when I went, dude, you want to talk about a joke, bro? That is, you know, fold your clothes, march, fold more clothes, march, make your bed. And you get out of shape there. It's like, they're not PTing you, like, you know, and that's what I envisioned when I went and joined the Navy was Marine Corps boot camp. I was like, oh, it's going to be like this. And then
I'm thinking Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, that's what I watched to get ready. And because I expected that, I didn't have it. I was like, okay, it's not bad.
Ready for bars of soaps.
Yeah.
So what MOS did you get out of boot camp?
I got artillery right off the bat, and I was like, I was heartbroken.
What's MOS?
Mode of operate.
It's your occupation.
Military occupation. So your job.
Yeah.
And
Does it stand for military occupation
specialty.
Mm-hmm.
So I when I went to the recruiter, I was like, oh, I'll sign right now if I get machine gunner or tanks. He's like, oh, gotcha. And he got me. At the graduation boot camp, they like read off numbers and like, Dennis Price said artillery. I was like, what is that? And like I said, internet wasn't a thing. I was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, I was like, I was like, I don't want to be here if I can't do this. So I try to fight it, and they're like, hey guys, like, there's not even a tank school starting, and you're already in boot camp. Like, there's nothing you can do. So he's like, in 2 years you can lat move, and like I just plugged that on the calendar. Was like, I'm out. Luckily, artillery, since the combat arms MOS or combat MOS, right from the get go. Graduate, I go to artillery school, and then immediately, like 6 months after joining, I was in Iraq as a machine gunner for turrets, because Iraq didn't have artillery at the time, So we replaced infantry unit, and all we do is convoy operations and foot patrols all through Al Anbar Providence, and we were based out of Ramadi. And so I was a turret gunner the whole time, and I was like, this is where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so luckily I did that, and
it had to be. So how long from your MOS school you went to obviously SOI, right? And then how long between then when you were done with all of your qualifications till you deployed?
I just remember when I came in, like 6-9 months later, I was there.
Yeah.
So like all that time in there, like from boot camp to MCT to artillery school to whatever, a quick workup, boom, and then another 6 months, and we deployed again. And then that's when right after that second one, we went to Japan, because our North Korea artillery struck a South Korean island, killed 36 people. So we immediately were launched to go on northern Japan and do that whole thing. And I was like, I want out of here. This is my so I immediately went to Force Recon, recon school, selection, all that other stuff. And then
Yeah, did you go to BRC or ARS?
BRC.
Was it because ARS, does that still exist?
No,
I don't. One now, right?
Yeah, it's one now. So recon school is on in California in Camp Pendleton.
Yep.
And that is where I would say, out of everything I've done in the military, that like held its perspective of like all the talk that it was, recon school, man, it every day was the most grueling thing. And by then I was already well running like under 6-minute miles. I went in there prepared.
Yeah.
Because at the time Surviving the Cut didn't come out, so I was like, how do I train? So I called Force Recon, and a guy said, just train for a triathlon every day and you'll be ready. And so when people ask me my advice, I say, dude, train for a triathlon
it's good advice.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's nonstop. What was the curious? So that was like 05, right? Or
I came in 07, and then that I think was 10/11. That was 11.
Okay.
Is when I graduated.
What was the screening process to get selected to go to ARS? Because when I took it in '99, I went to field med school in Camp Johnson, and then they had some recon corpsmen come in, and they were like, "Hey, we're running this selection or the physical test to go, right?" And so it was like me and 4 other guys raise our hands because well, I'm going to do that. I wanted to be a SEAL, but I was like, I had to do my 5 years with the Marines, and so I don't know if they still, but it was the hardest physical test I've ever taken thus far to get into anything. We started off with obviously the Marine Corps PFT. 3-mile run, pull-ups, sit-ups. You got to score perfect on that. And then we went to the pool. We did 2 minutes of mountain climbers, flutter kicks. Like they sit there and you have to do these exercises for 2 minutes straight. Then we get in the pool. We did the, I think it was a 500 swim with camis on. We do the brick toe. And then you do the 30-minute tread with camis. And this is where I actually put it in the book that I wrote. Is where this is how dumb and immature I was. Like we were treading, and instructors, go around like shark, and they were asking like, why do you want to be here? Why do you want to go to recon? And my answer, dude, I was like, I want to be a SEAL, but I figure this is the next best thing that I can do before I go. Not even like in my mind thinking, and they were like, took me to the bottom, like my head was just railing off the bottom of the pool. But I mean, I survived it, and then I actually was, me and one other guy, the only ones that passed that whole NDOC. And the only reason I didn't go over there is because one of the recon dudes was like, hey, man, like, do you want to be a SEAL? I was like, yes. And he's like, then don't come over here. He's like, because if you come over here, you're not leaving.
Yeah.
And so that was like it for me. I was like, okay, then and that's what drove me to go to state platoon. Yeah. But it by far, and then we had to do the O course
twice. Yeah, under I remember what.
Bro, it was I had holes at the bottom of my heels by the end of it. Like,
yeah,
it was gnarly.
Yeah, so to get selected, at the time I had to go in an interview, and they said like, oh, it's a psych thing, and see if you're a good fit. And right after that, then you have to do the Force Recon selection. So you have to do what now it's called the RPAT, Recon Physical Assessment Test. And it's been changing like every few years of what it is, but I'll just say what I had to do, and then what the bulk of through I've seen almost 2 decades of typically the known standard. So what you said, you do the Marine Corps PFT, the 3-mile run, sit-ups, pull-ups, but they add push-ups too because you have to go to airborne. So they added that, and they added full sit-ups because airborne and Army schools and Ranger school, they make you do sit-ups. And you have to score a 285 or higher to even, and when they say like, oh, you have to, if you have a 285 and everyone else, and you have a 285 and everyone has 300, you're not making it.
Yeah.
Like that you're the slowest kid in the class. So you got to do a 285 or higher, and then immediately you do the water portion. You get in, you swim the 500 with camis and boots under 15 minutes. And I don't remember if it's without boots in like 12:30, but I just remember 15 minutes is standard with camis, with or without boots, whatever. 45-minute tread water.
Yep.
And everyone, like when you're practicing in a pool. When you do it in real life, they call it beehive, and everyone's like shoulder to shoulder, and you're like treading like this,
You're
and
like pulling your shirts.
oh, and everyone's kicking each other. So it's really condensed down. So you do the 500. I think it's actually the 45-minute tread water first, then the 500, the brick / rifle tow. You have to tow it, and then you go. And the number has changed a lot. Where if it was like 50-meter underwater crossover or 30-meter under, but either way, and it's without a push off on the wall, so you have to start without it, and you go from there. And then
the ruck run.
And then the ruck run, the 12-mile ruck run up and it's in West Coast, so you're up the mountains. It's not a ruck flat run. And I don't remember the time, but it that's why it's called a ruck run. If you walk at any moment, you will fail.
Yeah. I remember when I took it, they were like, because you were like, what's the time? They're like, they went to like this.
Yeah.
It's the time is whenever you finish and what we deem, and it's like 110%.
Yeah.
And it's like a 12 mile, you're just running.
Yeah.
Like, with the ruck on.
And then like what he said, right after the end of that, you drop your ruck down, and you have to do the O course twice under like 3 minutes. I can't remember. It's like 3, 5, something like that. And then it's done. And then, so that's like the typical Force Recon selection one. And then when, that was to go to
get to the battalion.
To go to recon school. So when I went to recon school, then you hit at the time we called it MART. You used to call it RIP. Now it's called like something else, DIRT, like whatever the acronym is now. But then that was the highest attrition thing I've ever seen. You if you're not 0311 or infantry, you go to infantry school, and then you come to recon selection and MART, RIP, whatever it is, and it's like at the time there was no time. So it's like you go to here, Monday starts, there's like 50 super motivated, extremely athletic people coming in with 300 PFTs, and then it's just a thrash session with no curriculum, but just to like, I just remember they're like, what was every day? I'm like, I woke up, I ran miles and miles, had breakfast, rucked miles and miles, had lunch, swim miles and miles, and then boom, you'd end it. And if someone screwed up, sometimes they'd wake you up in the middle of the night with like bull horns and like, hey, grab the telephone pole, and you're on the telephone pole run. And there was no, it was day in, day out. So luckily I picked up with the first class. So I only went for 3 weeks. Some of my buds were there for like 6 months, 2 months, 3 months, just thrashed
on a daily basis.
On a day, and like, so Monday you'd show up with like 60, 90 people, and every Friday the usual suspects of 12 of us would stick around. Every Monday you might add like 3 more dudes, and then 3, and it was just crazy crap show of just thrash. And then the worst part at the they're like, okay, hey, we're about to pick up a class. Who has the highest scores? These guys, we feel, got selected. So you had to go there on an oral board. And so I was on a proposal. So there was like 6 of us. They're like, hey, we have slots, or let's say 12 or whoever it was. I go, and they're like, why do you want to be recon? And I said my answers. Then they asked me a few other answers, and I was like, okay, boom. We go back in, and one of my buds who was there like 5 weeks longer than me, he didn't get selected. And I was like, dude, what happened? And they're like, we just didn't like his answers. And then he got picked up with the next class, thrashing more. And like, so then you pick up in recon school. It's like 3 months long, like extreme long distance.
Did you see like, hey, he's not dedicated enough? Is that what they were?
I wasn't in the closed room.
Whatever they think. Yeah. If they answered wrong or they didn't like something about it, they're like, make him stay.
Yeah. Wow. And, he's one of my closest friends now.
Which I guess that's different with buds, because buds.
Yeah, buds is not. It's not like that.
Like you couldn't make a guy quit. Like you're trying to make them all quit in a sense, but like you can't say nah. Don't like you.
There has to be a legitimate reason. Like if you are going to drop a student in buds, it either has to be for failing the standards, which is on the 4 mile time runs, ocean swims, of course, all that, or it can be an integrity violation if they're caught doing something that's like, hey, lying or doing anything like that. You can drop them, but those have to be like it's not as like cut and dry. Like one instructor's like, "Yep, he did this. He's dropped." They're not gonna like take that instructor's word. You know, they're look into it. So yeah, Buds is mainly voluntary.
Yeah.
It's like you
Same there.
select
Yeah.
out.
It's the same thing
It's
for
the
them. It's all voluntary, and that's where they just they threat. You could push any man to the point of like that. It just matters how much heat do you want to keep just isolating him. But at the last one, those guys didn't get dropped. They just kept in the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just
Now it's more formalized. That's why I said like they call it like whatever they. I don't
It's
even
Mart,
know
I
it.
think. My son went to it last year.
So there's Mart, and now they rename Mart to something else now. And then that's like Mart is now like
Some
I said,
officer got a promotion.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now I think Mart now they want to final make the fluid more process. So now they teach you some of the things and tips and tricks. So Mart, I think now they teach you, and then they go to I think DIRT or pre-BRC or something like that, and then that's the one I'm talking about is like that's the selection process. And then you pick up in recon school, and then it just is grueling from there.
Yeah.
And like you, that's one of the school I would say is it's funny, like where like the first day was still like the last day, you know, like it wasn't like, oh, hey, now that you guys got in here, they're going to loosen up. And then no, because then phase 2 happens and it's in Coronado at where the SEALs are at Buds. And we share the same facilities, and you're doing like, instead of that boats,
Yes, you guys have the big
with the Zodiacs, and you have it on your shoulder, and it's like I don't remember how many, like 400 plus pounds, and then the engine. So we're like carrying this thing, and so then that's your new piece of crap there. Then phase 3, your new piece of crap here.
yeah.
And
Did you guys mess with the Bud students at all when you went?
no, and they just told us to completely separate.
So when I was going through Buds, my buddies from Staple, Bailey and Gilstrap, these guys that I was in Stapleton with, they were going through BRC at the same time as I was going through Buzz, which was pretty crazy because go with there. And yeah, so those guys would, like when we went to the chow hall, we have to line our helmets up.
Yep.
They'd come steal our helmets and all over the face, and I'd get beat for it. And that, yeah, it was all like in good fun, you know. We do stuff back to them. Yeah.
I thought it was so funny. Like, so they have a thing for you guys. They kept saying like, man, you guys look pretty dry. So they're always keeping you guys wet.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll just be like, but you guys look pretty dry. And they're just like hosing them, like standing before the chow hall, and they come back after chow hall.
Yeah.
They're like then re-hosing them and like,
You're not allowed to be
so,
dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got done with obviously RS and then checked into
Yeah, Force Recon, and I did so well preparing. Like I said, that triathlon every day. I graduated towards the top of my class. I competed for the Ironman. Another guy got it, and rightfully so. He dominated the water. I dominated on the ruck runs, and so I hit my unit, and they're like, "Hey, we got really good reports from this. What school do you want to go to?" And they're like, "You can pick like anyone." They're like, "You want to go to Scout Sniper School, Ranger School?" And I was like, this is amazing. I was like, you just gave me like, hey, checking the unit, and we heard great things. Where would you like? I was like,
is everything I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
So I was like, my life goal is to be a Force Recon Scout Sniper. And I was like, so let me give me a day to think on it, because Ranger School, I just know if I pass now, I might pass for my whole career. So I thought about it long and hard. It was like, man, my goal was to be a Force Recon Scout Sniper, and that's my life goal. So I came back, said it, and like, so my like recon career and my Scout Sniper career started at the same time. Like I pretty much went directly there. So which prepared me, because coming straight out of recon school directly to Scout Sniper School, which is another massive 3.5 month haze fest up physical, and I was able to break some of the school records for ruck running, because I came just from that to there.
Yeah, you were already in beast mode.
Yeah, and so like I was able to break 3 school records for ruck running, and so that wasn't a problem. But now like Stay Platoon, like you were saying earlier, is those guys live, even and breathe and eat, and most of them did 1 or 2 deployments as a pig, a professionally instructed gunman in a Stay Platoon, and might have, like when I went through, a lot of guys had more kills than the instructors as a pig. And they just haven't had a piece of paper saying they went to the schoolhouse. They knew all. So when you're a Force Recon guy going through, you're the most highly liked person to get dropped, because we go, maybe we shot the rifle once, and then you're in there. So we're playing catch up.
Yeah, coming from a Stay Platoon, you definitely, I mean, I think Scout Sniper School is made for state platoons to guys go, but then they have other like recon. There was a SEAL that went the class before me at Stone Bay. But state platoon guys have the highest success rate because that is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
That is all they train to. So like when I was in a state platoon, all we did was train on being a sniper. Everything that came with it. I mean, and it was daily, dude. Like it was the most professional bunch of guys that I'd ever been around, as far as guys that were dedicated to their craft and like really just put everything into it. It separated, like, it just showed me, that was the first time I saw, because I was with the grunt unit before that. And I just was able to see the difference between like, okay, these dudes are real professionals. Like they actually are like, this is my craft and I am going to be the best at it. So when you're in that platoon, you're constantly training. So when you go to sniper school, it's like, this is already stuff that I already know.
Yep.
Right. And like,
Yeah, I already do.
because with sniper school, and like we were talking about before, everything is, I mean, has to be to a T, dude. And that's what people don't get. I put my time at sniper school, like trying to get through there, especially as a corpsman, because I was like almost like I was an outsider, like, but to me, that was a lot harder for me than buds, like by far, because not only, dude, and I hadn't shot a rifle, like, so I took the state platoon indoc, which was like a month, got in there, and they were like, hey, dude, you need to be an expert rifleman in order to be in this platoon. You're corpsman. I was like, okay. And they're like, have you shot a rifle? I was like, no, I've never shot a rifle.
Oh, wow.
And boot camp, they did the electric,
Okay.
like little lays. I'm like, so I had a sergeant come 2 days, snap in barrel. Like he was just going over everything with me. And this is so funny. I went to the range. I scored a perfect and made the newspaper at Camp Lejeune.
Yeah.
But that was like the first time I ever qualled. And that was because of the instruction that I got from the guys that were in the platoon. That's the only reason I was able to do that. But then once I did that, they were like, hey, we'll give you a slot, ish. Like we're not going to give you you won't get the certificate, but we'll allow you to be able to go, which is like an honor in itself. It's like, dude, I can't believe you guys are even letting me do this. And there was some instructors that did not like it when I was there, and I got some extra love. But,
Yeah.
But I was so proud of just being able to be there, being able to like even be part of that community, because the sniper community is so small. But dude, it is, I think, one of the most highly regarded communities, man, because of the amount of
professional.
Yeah, they're professional. Like they are true like gunmen, dude. Like they know their craft inside and out.
So first they say on average, active duty snipers, it's about 305 to 310 scout snipers in all the Marine Corps. That's usually on average. Now, obviously, and we might or may not get it, I don't like to talk about it, is that they chopped. Yeah, hopefully. So they chopped Marine Scout snipers away. But either way, about 310 Scout snipers in the Marine Corps. So it's a very tight-knit one, but it's highly regarded because it's the longest one. And for just like in Force Recon, SEALs and those teams, and same with SF and all, they look at sniper as a capability, but state platoon and Marine Scout sniper, it's everything. That's why, like, when I was in the deep recon platoon, with Force Recon, all it was RNS, reconnaissance surveillance, and being a sniper in that, I felt like I was a sniper attached to recon. All I did was and for the last 18 years, even when we were doing CQB, I had to carry the SAS into things because sometimes you do RNS into a raid. So everything, even when I worked with private contracting, what used to be called Blackwater as a sniper, I had to run the house with their version of their Mark 11 or the Mark 12, and I had to clear with a semi-automatic sniper rifle. So you are a sniper, and that is your identity. Yeah. You are that to the team, and I love that community, and that's where my heart is. And I had an instructor who was a recon Marine at sniper school, and he said the best recon Marines are scout snipers, and the best scout snipers are recon Marines, because the mission, it enlaces in each other so much, where you're going out, you're going behind enemy lines in a position that you're not supposed to get caught, develop a hide site to hide from the enemy, observe operations, develop the battlefield, and take targets of opportunity when you can. So the primary mission of the Scout Sniper was actually is surveillance and then eliminate targets of opportunity when tasked. So it's fieldcraft is where like your weight in being a sniper. It's not necessarily shooting, and some could say either way. But the Marine Scout Sniper is it's heavyweight craft or weight in the fieldcraft part.
That's the way I describe it. I'm like, anybody can get behind that gun
Yes.
and pull the trigger and hit. Like, you're like, okay, cool, the gun's doped in. As long as you have applying the correct fundamentals to shooting a rifle everyone is taught, then yes. But the majority, 98% of the work is all the fieldcraft, like everything else that entails into becoming a sniper that leads up to you getting behind that gun. That is all the hard part.
When you say that, you're talking about sneaking into creating a hide spot, your
Get in the ghillie suit, using vegetation, covering concealment the whole time, because you don't have the battle rattle, you don't have like ballistic, and sometimes you do, but like in Scout Sniper school and the traditional way is that you're just in a ghillie suit and your concealment is your armor. So it's the ultimate game of playing hide and seek, you know. And the mission that what differs from the army also, and that's why we call a pig, someone who didn't graduate sniper school and is in a sniper platoon, they're professionally instructed gunmen. Now, don't get it wrong, because a pig is way higher than a normal person because they are professionally instructed. They know they just didn't go to school for the most part, but they know a lot of stuff that bleeds in Scout Snipers. When you graduate, you're a hunter of gunmen, and your whole mission is to not just shoot people with a scoped rifle, because that's what you're saying. Anyone can just do that.
It's hunting
other snipers. That is your goal, and that's what the Hog's Tooth represents. That round, a Hog's Tooth is when you graduate, you get a 7.62 round, 308 round, and you wear it as a necklace. The traditional way to do it is if you hunt and stock up on another sniper and you shoot him, you take that last bullet out of the casing and you wear it around your neck, because that round was meant for you and you won that day. So when you graduate Scout Sniper School, they say it's as a representation of that round was meant for you. And so guys like AJ Pashuti, he's a Force Recon Scout Sniper. He actually shot the sniper Juba or whatever, and he's writing a book this year it'll publish because he got to do that.
Yeah.
And go up and one of my other buds, Mario Gonzalez, I believe it was, who also did the same thing, stalked up against another enemy sniper and shot him. And that's the
pinnacle.
That is the pinnacle in a sniper's goal.
Do you take his round and wear it in?
Wear it in, yeah.
Yeah, let me know. I'll have him on for sure.
AJ?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, easily.
That'd be a crazy story.
He was on Shadow Figures as well with Chad, and I was just with him a couple months ago. So, yeah.
Nice. So you graduate sniper school, and then where to next?
So I was with the Deep Recon or RNS platoon for First Recon, and then I went straight to, again, Special Operations Urban Sniper School. So let's say 3-6 months into it. Well, I go to Jump School. I go to Hey-Ho School, not Halo, but Double Back Static Line Hey-Ho School, and then I go straight to Special Operations Urban Sniper School, and that's where I then became a sniper truly through that. If I say that because I didn't know at the time, and now I point to guys and I say, when you graduate Marine Scout Sniper School, if you were to ask me what is follow through, I'd blank out and be like, follow through is a continued application of the fundamentals after the shot breaks. Now, good, you told me. Now tell me what follow through. And I was like, and I would say the same thing, like parallax, apparent movement of reticle across the target when your head is slightly moved. What does that mean? Like when you're helping a shooter and now you're like trying to tell him, you're like, I just told you. It's like, no, get a thorough understanding. Special Operations SOTG Urban Sniper did that for me. I knew what the textbook had. I knew how to apply it, but intimately, and that's the word, intimately, understand the application thoroughly until I went to that school. And then now I learned how to be, because it's urban sniper. So now you're sometimes clearing houses with
setting up hide sites,
urban hide sites, and then eventually I went to aerial sniper school and I learned how to do it out of a helicopter. So that really took me to the level and same with in my platoon of being a really high, and that's what Recon Sniper School now is. They developed once they chopped away Marine Scout Sniper, they developed a year prior because they saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and they made Recon Sniper School so that, because it's always organic to a Force Recon platoon is to have Scout Snipers in it. And if the Marine Corps chopped that away, we still need it.
Yeah.
So we took Marine Scout Sniper School and we took SOTG Urban Sniper and we blended the two together, took out 1,000, 2,000 level tasks like land nav. We already do that in Recon School, advanced land nav. Well, basic radios that you learn in Scout Sniper School, we do that in Recon School.
Yeah.
So we took out at Call for Fire, we took out those 1,000, 2,000 level tasks that and all we did was blend those two together. So now you do Scout Sniper School mixed with Urban Sniper and then some advanced sniper stuff, and I mean they
turned it to what special operations does. It's time management. It's like, do we need to reiterate the cons again? No. They already know land nav. Take that out. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. They know how to shoot this gun, how to apply it, when to apply it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, their first year or two, in their infancy stages of the first couple years, they went on to do the international sniper competition, and they placed top 3. The instructors out there. So like, just from doing that, making that program, and then doing that, it just set the stage of like, hey, this is a very big league program.
Yeah.
So,
did you ever go to high angle shooting course in Fallon?
That's the only one.
Hawthorne?
That's the only sniper school I've never went to in the DoD is Mountain Sniper.
Yeah,
and that will make me a Razorback, which is you did every sniper school you did that you can, and you'll be deemed from Pig, Hog, Razorback. So, yeah, that's the only one I need is a Mountain Sniper.
Yeah, that one was. I went to that one. That one was tough, man.
They call it the career killer.
It's dude, it's super difficult. Yeah. It's like back then we didn't have all the gadgets either, dude. It was like the slope doper, and you're timed. Like, hey, you better figure out the calculations of like the distance and where you need to aim and all that. And I just remember, it was like blowing my mind when I was there. I was like, dude, this is a lot, but
yeah,
it was such a blast. I mean, because you're with the platoon as well. We went there, and we had an urban. We went to urban as well in Stone Bay.
Okay.
And I think that's where we actually went through when they first started standing it up.
Okay.
So it wasn't like completely, the curriculum wasn't all the way there yet, but we learned, because that was right at the invasion.
Oh, yeah.
Right when 9/11 happened. So they really started focusing on that. I'm sure it's come light years.
Yeah.
But to show you how hard the high angle shooting one is, my last platoon I sent 3 of my snipers in this platoon, and the SEALs, they had open slots in Hawthorne. And I was like, hey, dude, that's a great school. Like, and they're like, yeah, we want to go. But I told them, I was like, listen, dude, this is the Marines, man. I'm like, they don't mess around. I'm like, they'll freaking kick you out if you fail or do anything that's, He said, oh, no, we're good. They were back in 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
All of them failed. And I told them, I was like, dude, that's, they don't mess around there, man. Everything's to a T.
Yeah. So guys, I went to SIFSIC, which is Special Forces Sniper School. I got to teach there at a 20th Special Forces group for Green Berets, and some of my students were British SAS. So people claim that like you get your mountain and high angle out of the advanced tier 1 schools. I just don't like to do that because then it undercuts that whole school. Just like if you went to SEAL Sniper, it's a tier 1 and you cover all that, but not attending. So I don't like to claim the Razorback 1, even though you're qualified as a tier 1 sniper through SIFSIC, through MASP, which is the new Marine Raider 1, or MARSOC sniper, and then Recon Sniper. Even though they touch it, I like that school still exists.
Yeah, and that's because you have a high standard. You're like, nope, that's the standard.
Yeah,
to go to that school, which is how it should be looked at.
Do you wish you did?
I do, and I'm actually debating because I'm so far where I retire next year. Yeah. I'm so far along. It's a impossible task. But Todd Hodnett runs high angle 1 that we send guys to, and then NATO has the Mountain Sniper School for NATO in Austria, and I contacted them last year, and they're packed then. They were filled to capacity, but I got an email like 3-5 months ago, and they're like, "Hey, would you like to come?" And I was like, "Dude." So
just to
Hey,
yeah,
parting gift.
yeah.
Here, let me go.
But Todd Hodnett one, I did contact him again recently, like last year, and so that will keyword will, before I die, I will attend some version of that. Just because you said we all have our mental, like, that's why I went to Ranger School, is because the old standard in Force Recon, if you want to be a Force Recon team leader, you had to be a Ranger. And even though we then stood up Recon Team Leaders course, and then guys didn't really want to go to Ranger anymore, and guys stopped doing that, at one time, it was a standard.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, well, just because it isn't anymore, probably because we loosened things up, that was at one time. And so like that, so when I went to Recon Team Leaders course, and they're like, because I was like, I want to go to Ranger, I want to be, Force Recon Scout Sniper Ranger, that's where the legends are made. And they're like, why would we send you to Ranger School when we have Recon Team Leaders course? And they just restood that thing back up. So I was like, okay, I'll go there. And I went through that course, and I was like, I want to go to Ranger School. And then again, they're like, why would we send you to Ranger School when we just came to Recon Team Leaders course?
And it's more of like, hey, no, it's the standard.
Yeah.
From what you were raised.
From what I was raised in. And so I got, so then I loopholed it, and I was like, well, this time I was like year 10, and I was like, well, I said I really wanted to go. That is one of my life goals, and that was the standard. And it's if it's known as the combat leadership school in the world that everyone comes to attend, and it was at one point as that, and you hear amazing things. I have extreme, massive, high regards and respect for the 75th Ranger Regiment. Well, I was like, well, then I still want to go. So I requested to be a Ranger instructor down there, because they have to, and that's how I went.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm a huge fan and supporter of Firecracker Farm. Alex, the owner, is not only an incredible human being, but he makes an incredible product, and that is why we could not be happier that they are sponsoring the Shoot Me Straight podcast. Each guest, when they come in, will get a sample of Firecracker Farm so they can take it back and enjoy, and I can tell you, to each person that we've given it to, they have not been disappointed. You can put these, put this salt on your favorite food, favorite beverage. I've even seen people put it in their coffee. They love it. There's an assortment of heat, so if you don't like it too hot, they definitely have that taken care of with some mild flavors. And then it goes all the way to extreme heat if you like to sweat. So if you guys are interested in purchasing some, go to firecracker.farm. All right. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
We're about to get into you went to become a Ranger instructor, and then therefore you got to go to Ranger School. So you found that loophole.
Yeah, I found the loophole. And before that, this is 7 deployments down in between, and free fall school to seer school to dive school, dive soup, jump master, free fall jump master, all that
stuff. You're living the life, man.
Yeah. And I think I went at year 12 now. So year 12, 7 deployments down, or no, I think 6 at this time, something like that.
I know it gets muddled.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, now in the teams, I started outpacing my peer group, and I was like, okay, I don't have a peer group now. I either deploy, and because they took an instructor gig back then, so I just kept deploying. And so it was a weird time where the age gap from the next guy in the team was significant, and then the rank, where I didn't have the rank yet, but I had the experience, and so I was like, okay, now's my time to take an instructor role, and start looking at the staff level thing. So I go down to be a Ranger instructor to find the loophole, and I loved it. So no one, Marine going down to Fort Benning, no one wants to go there and do airborne school, because it's it's airborne school. So no one wants to be a black hat and work at airborne, so everyone acknowledges that, but we have to have representatives to have school slots. So they're like, hey guys, here's the deal. If you want to be a Ranger instructor, a Pathfinder, a Static Line Jump Master, or RSLIC instructor, Recon Surveillance Leader course for the Army, if you want to be any of those instructors, you serve your first 9 to 12 months at airborne school as an instructor, and then you have 2 to 3 years wherever you want.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I
So
went
were
to
you a black hat?
dude, sadly for 9 months I was. but so in 2012 or 12, I think I went to airborne school. I was like, dude, it was when the wars were kicking and they let us do whatever we wanted. So we could drink. So I was like, airborne school, I was single at the time too. I was like, dude, that was so much fun. All we do is hang out together as like soft, and we just joked around all day, jumped out of some planes, got drunk every weekend, and just hung out, and it was just so fun. I was like, I'll easily do that. Yeah, that was like 10 years ago. Yeah. The wars died. Everyone was super nitpicky about everything. But even though I spent that 9 months at that school of like 17-hour days, just like every time you remember, because you went through, as long as the students are there and up, you have to be there an hour earlier and an hour prior, and you're just rinse and repeat every 3 weeks. Pick up 500 students, graduate 300 students or so, send 500 people out of planes every Friday for 5 jumps each, and just boom.
Yeah.
We call it the war machine, just kicking people out of planes all day. But during the worst times of my life through that, I established really good friendships because we all suffered.
Yeah.
Just like in buds or anything.
Anytime where there's shared suffering,
yes.
bonds that are formed.
Yes, absolutely. And but I got to go to Ranger School out of that, and then boom, 9 months went up. And I hate to say it because we're really good friends now. Right when my time was up, and E7 came in and was already a Ranger, and he's like, hey, I'm coming here and I'm not going there. And he became a Ranger instructor. And I was like, dude, I don't want to say anything, but we're really good friends. But it just
at the time,
I was hurt of I was upset of not personally, because he's just doing what everyone wanted. It was like, no, screw that, you know. So I then got to briefly teach at Army Sniper. I taught a class out there while trying to find my path, but I got to go to RRC selection through that. I went pretty much right off the bat, which is Ranger Reconnaissance Company. Actually, I'd like to cut that out.
Okay. Yeah. Mark that.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
did you get to go to Ranger school though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think right off the bat, if not 6 months in or something like that. But then at this time, I got to go to that a specific unit and try out, and I was one of the first Marines to ever get selected in that unit. And man, I was jumping for joy. I couldn't believe it. And so as I start going in that pipeline and training with them, you know, time goes by, and all of a sudden the big Marine Corps says, hey, we're not going to provide a Force Recon Marine at that specific unit. So they just gave me a white letter and hey, Marine Corps called down. It was like, hey, you're not supposed to be there anymore.
You need to come back.
You need to come back. And I didn't. Yeah, I was like, I did I got the call, and I was like, so it led to a big thing of standing in front of the man, and luckily I didn't get charged with UA, but I was like, this is the hell down. You guys signed off on me to go.
Yeah.
You know,
You're wasting my time.
Yeah, and in the unit, they were backing me hard. They're like, guys, you signed on him to go. He's performing, we want him on the team, all this other stuff. And then yeah, but the big Marine Corps said they're not out, and they're like, so big semantics. I don't, that was a pass that, and then at the same time, 2020 hits, Corona happens, just got pulled back from that specific, tier 1 team, Corona, and now my along the way I had 3 kids, and my 4th daughter was born with 2 rare diseases. So at this time she just gets born, all in the same time window. And so 2020 was a really bad year for me. That happened, like I said, pulled from that unit. Then Corona happened, daughter born. She's born straight from that straight to the NICU, to the special intensive care thing. And then outside of Fort Benning, the hospital couldn't service her specific rare needs with the 2 rare diseases. So you got life flighted from Benning to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia with my wife, and I was active duty with 3 kids, and she stayed there for 6 months. And every day she was poked and prodded by like 12 specialists, saying that at any time, like she could die, and like they're trying to save her life every day, and it was really hard.
Did they, while that was happening, did the Marine Corps and Army like sort of help cater to your needs at that time? Like, hey, go spend time with your family, make sure this is, or was it?
So to sound like pretty biased, the Marine Corps did not, man. Like kind of like what you said, like the Marine Corps, it's designed for like war and combat, and it does not do a good job for family. But like when she was born, I remember, like I said, my Army command came, and I got a call from the hospital. We're sitting there. It was like day 2 she was born. I'm sitting there like, room blah blah blah. Captain whoever and first sergeant whoever in the Army are at the requesting Dennis Price, and I'm like, I got so livid. I like walk out the door. I'm like, what do you guys want? Like, and whatever. And like they had this like. They had like roses for my wife. They had chocolates. They had a gift. They had a little like onesie for her saying "Welcome to the platoon." And I was like,
awesome.
and I was just like, just so taken back. And I was like, and they're like, "Hey, man, we're just here to support you guys. Take as much time as you need off, and blah blah blah." And I was never treated like that.
No.
I came in there just about to breathe fire, and just couldn't understand, like, why are they sitting here with these gifts? And I took them back to my wife, and I just couldn't understand it. And the Marine Corps was still silent. Because in that detachment, there's only 4 or 5 of us as Marines in the Army in there, and not a single email, call, anything.
Yeah.
And then when I was 6 months, she was in the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia getting, fighting for her life every day. Now Corona's there, so everyone's working from home. So not the Marine Corps, the military mandated that we all had to stay at home.
Yeah.
So I got to full-time father, like our kids. And then at this time now, I'm about to transition out because the doctors, so 6 months go by, and I call, and this is around Christmas time or so, and I call the doctor, and I'm like, "Hey, so what's happening with Amelia? Like, when's she coming back?" And they're like, "Hey, she was born with these 2 rare diseases, and she's only allowed to live in 2 areas in the United States that can facilitate her 2 rare diseases at such a young age. That's the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and Children's Hospital right outside Houston." And I was like, "Well, I don't know anyone in Texas, so I guess we'll go to the number 1." And I was like, "Well, let me call my command and see what they say." So I call the Marine Corps, that command, and I was like, "Hey, here's the situation. What's going on?" They're like, "Well, we don't have a base there, so I guess you'll just get out." And I was like, "Well, is there anything I can do?" And they're like, "Yeah, let me do some research." And came back, and they're like, "Yeah, there's nothing." And I was like, "You could try to file for early retirement. You're about 15 years in now." And at the time, they're kicking people out for like tattoos and anything. So
Spigot was turning off for the war effort.
The war, and you hear time and time again that once the war's over, they want those guys out.
Yeah.
And then politics floods in, in the void. So now he's like, you can put it's called a VERP, Volunteer Early Retirement Program, where you can retire at 15 years. He's like, "Yeah, but you're 9 months shy." I was like, "Okay, well," he's like, "you can try to put a waiver in, but I don't know if that'll work." I was like, "Well, the totality of the circumstance of everything that happened, we'll try." And I put it in, and it gets denied. And I'm like, "Dude, what do I do?" Like, I have no, like, and so this all, like, it was almost overnight. And now I have like 3 months left to be out of the military. And that's where, as a believer, that's what we call it, the enemy slips in. Corona happened, just got plucked from that tier 1 unit, to daughter being born, 2 rare diseases, leave the Marine Corps. That's it, sir. Done. You get nothing.
Yeah.
And then I tell the doctors, and they're like, I'm like, "Well, I guess we're gonna move up that area." He's like, "Well, by the way, you had 12 specialists poking and prodding your daughter for the last 6 months. Here's a $1.2 million medical bill. And because you're transitioning out, TRICARE won't, cover it. And I was just, dude, the weight of that paper was the weight of the world crushing on my shoulders. So everything now was what we talked about earlier, like the rocks, everything, all the deployment, everything to anything that's just piling in.
It was a breaking point.
It was,
Yeah.
and it was a build up to that breaking point, and which I did not identify early on yet.
No, and I think obviously everything's in retrospective. Like you can look back now and see like the good in it, and like what, like you talked about yours, like this is where the enemy comes in, the devil comes in, right? But I also think on that it's where God let that happen. And it's like I'm about to bring you to your knees, dude, and you're gonna like this is how you are going to see that
1,000%. And through my testimony of fast forward that breaking point, having a gun in my head and my children sleeping in the next room, about to do it, and my wife was still in Philadelphia, and when it came down to it, and the random statistic popped in my head was like a parent who commits suicide, your children are then 10 times more likely to then commit suicide. And that was at gun at head when that random statistic popped in my head. And then another random thought popped in my head, and it said, a girl raised without a father in the household is about like 7 to 8 times more likely to have preteen pregnancy. And I was like, I had 3 girls.
No.
And then the next one, a son raised without a father in the home is again like 7 to 8 times more likely to be incarcerated at a young age. And I was like, man. And ultimately it came down was like, dude, my youngest is in the hospital fighting every day to stay alive and be here in this world, fighting to live. And her like war hero dad can't even fake it one more day to give his kids a better life. And then the biggest thing is like, who's gonna find that was the breaking point. Who's gonna find your body? Your kids are sleeping in the next room.
Yeah.
And dude,
which is a whole nother level of trauma.
So I put the gun down and I was like, dude, I'm so messed up right now. And I walked into the living room and I put on Cornerstone TV, which is a church channel. I was like, dude, I'm so messed up in life right now. I need to go back. I need to get help. And just like a sniper rifle, I am unzeroed in life. How do I set my zero to what is true? And what is true is the word of God. So I was like, I'm going to start going. I was like, I guess I'll get out. I was like, I'll work every day and night and work 3 to 5 jobs if it takes to give my kids the dad that they deserve. And I was like, I'll do whatever it takes to pay this $1.2 million medical bill. And so I started taking them to church again. We already did, but truly trying to live that. We sold everything we owned and moved up to right outside the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And what do guys like us do when we get out? Guess who's hounding at the door? Blackwater and all those guys.
Contracting jobs.
So I used to contract whatever they call themselves now, formerly known as Blackwater, as a sniper. So, hey, getting out and starting as a 6-figure job isn't that bad when you need to pay, the bill. So, so I'm in the school in Moyoc, and this is where everything, kind of what you said, what God used, is I was walking down the halls of Blackwater, and I was like 3-5 months in on the training pipeline or whatever, because I did all the schoolhouses to then, because you have to do that then to go to their sniper school and all that. So I'm walking down the hall, and it felt like I got struck by lightning. Like every fiber in my being, every hair in my body was standing straight up, and that was the first and only time I ever heard the audible voice of God. And he said, "You have to save them." And I was like, no context, no nothing. I was like, what's going on? And I walk down the hall, and I go on and turn on in the lounge, and they're watching on TV, Kabul, Afghanistan, about to fall. And I was like, what can I do? And then the next word said, anything. And so that's where my life really picks up, is I was like, Roger, I got given a mission. I got given mission clearance from, from God. And so I call 10 people, and those 10 people call 10 people. And then 24 hours, we find that there's a American dual citizen family in Afghanistan who are trapped and need help out. And they got, he has, I think, 5 or 6 kids, and his 2 oldest, 12 and I think 11 or 13, 11, got given 6 days before they're going to be sold and raped and sold off to the Taliban. So I was like, okay, I got given a mission. I got given a timeline, and quickly in 24 hours, I owned a 50-acre compound in Alaska, developed a LLC to do all this stuff for limited liability and, because you're going to go in and do that. And 24 hours after that, I just called, those 10 people, and it just kept going crazy. We had a 6-man joint special operations team of veterans from SOF and an agency guy. And and on day 5, we were able to go in and we rescued that family 45 minutes before Abbey Gate blew up.
Really?
And it was a massive Hail Mary because that was in Kandahar, and we had to get them up to Kabul and then out from there. So right when we pulled off this massive Hail Mary, all assets shifted on us, and in 2 weeks we were boom, boom, boom. We were able to pull out 55 Americans who we left behind. And then that's when I got nominated and voted to go to the White House and in DC, and all nonprofits and NGOs had to go with State Department, with OGA, all these other people had to say, okay, what did you do? Where are they at now? And how can we do this as combined effort? And that's eventually what formed Save Our Allies and all those other people. And that's where I met Chad Robichaux.
Yeah.
And he said, we had to go around the room and say who we are, what we did, and what we can do in the future right now. Because Kabul just fell, but there's still so many who are trapped. So everyone went around the room, and I was the only one who were getting HVIs out, high valued individuals, and using rat lines. And so when it came around the room, and so on a break, Chad came up to me in a break room. He's like, "Hey, I really like your story. Tell me about your background." So I told him. He's like, "What would you do if I served the same units? I was also in 3rd Force Recon, and what would you do if I asked you, would you like to go get the rest of them?" And 2-man unsupported operation behind enemy lines. And I said, "Well, I don't know who you are, but if God called me to do this and there's still more people, then my mission's not done." So I said, "Yeah, I'll go." And like a week later, me and Chad are on the flight to Tajikistan, and that's where in his book, Saving Aziz picks up, and the rest of the book was me and him, and we snuck in from Tajikistan, and we swam across the Panjshir River Valley, and ultimately we were able to pull out 77 Americans and dual citizen vetted interpreters, SLV interpreters, and this was the moment I went from like, okay, hey, I'm on the path, I'm committed to Christ, but when I swam across the Panjshir River Valley in Afghanistan, and when I came out, it hit me like a ton of bricks. That this what it was all for. That pain, misery, suffering, that bitterness, rage was not, Force Recon, Scout, Sniper, Ranger, Jump, Dive, Free Fall, Seer, all this other stuff was not to be God's war vessel and go from taking lives, but from taking lives to saving lives, using that same skills and technology that the military has created us to go and hit the objective, but do the same exact thing, but precision and rescue.
Yeah.
And man, when I came out of the river, and that's when it hit me, and it was epiphany, and that's when I came out of the water, rebaptized and on fire for Christ, and was like, this is what God, all that stuff what you said, that what it was all for.
What he intended.
What he intended, and that was the moment that I truly surrendered my life and rebaptized and gave my life to Christ on the side of the river in Panjshir River Valley in Afghanistan.
When you were going to rescue these Americans, right? Do they know like, hey, somebody's coming to get us? So they're already in a group like awaiting, or are you guys having to like go find these families at different spots?
So both. So the ones, like I said, HVIs, I had to however you want to use the verbiage, to make sources,
Mhm.
and I had to lead an ITG, initial terminal guidance, and them through meeting checkpoints. So someone gave me a list and was like, hey, this person is a vetted, person. I would go and send them off. They would get vetted. This is a vetted SIV interpreter or a dual citizen. Okay, and that's who we mainly went after the whole time was, okay, I see American passport here, vetted, good, came back, and now they're located here. And now I'm contacting them and I'm giving them a route and saying, I need you to go to here, here, here. They're going to ask this at this checkpoint, and then I would go and meet them and then bring them out.
Okay.
So, and it's crazy because, like I said, that all that stuff in my past life led me to be qualified and certified.
Wow, give you all the skills to pull that off.
And I had no clue. And that gives me inner peace more than that bitterness and rage of, all those back-to-back deployments did, and living that life to now today where I run a nonprofit, Heroes for Humanity, that takes veterans specifically from special operations communities, but veterans, first responders, nurses, medical personnel, and clergymen, and re-gift their gifts and talents to not just serve the man, but to serve the Lord. And just like that's why our symbol is a phoenix, is rise from the ashes, to take flight again, repurposed and stronger, but for Christ. And so we do three things. We precision personnel rescue. We rescue people from behind enemy lines in Afghanistan. We did the invasion of Ukraine before America could support, before the agency and all those people were there. We did the first 9 months of the war. And me and a guy named Jeff Blaylock pulled out 65 WMPT and triple MPT veterans from there. And I did the first 9 months of the war on the front before they were dug in. And that's a whole nother thing. And then I came back to America, and I thought that's it. Everyone's always like, "What's now?" I said, "I think that's all." And that's when the human trafficking world found me. So that hit me hard and changed my everything in life. And so we don't counter traffic at Heroes for Humanity, but we do precision personnel rescue. So we rescue trafficked children.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do John stings. We don't do that because it's such a massive elephant to take down of human trafficking. But we do rescue trafficked children. So I started doing that for the last 3, 4.
I saw the interview with the young woman.
Yeah,
she didn't show her face, but yeah, and I listened to her testimony of what you guys did for her.
Yeah, she was in Virginia Beach.
Yeah,
she got taken from North Carolina, and we found her in Virginia Beach, and she was able to do a massive testimony, and which actually was awesome. And this one, I'm glad her mom asked us to video so that we would help other people, because 5 weeks later, another kid happened, and she watched that video and contacted us through there. So we're constantly getting cases. So that's why we do it. And that's why we blur the kids' faces and stuff. And we ask, hey, if you do feel comfortable, please, because now we're always having cases like this.
yeah. I mean, and that stuff's needed with nonprofits, right? I think even with ours, we never mandate or like, hey, give your testimony for what you did, but if you feel, if you're comfortable with it, because a lot like you guys, we're helping people at their worst times.
Mhm.
Like they are at their worst point in their life. So it's a little hard to ask them like, hey, can you, and it's like, so we are just like, hey man, whenever you're good and ready, if you would like to, because
What is it for?
it's not for recognition. It's not for like, hey, look what we did. It's more of this is what we can do. And there's plenty of other people there that are trapped in the same situation. And we are here to help. And those people half the time don't know that there's resources out there like that, like for what you guys do as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the precision personnel rescue part, after we started rescuing trafficked children in the United States, we were doing it globally for a little while, but then we really were so busy here. Our second pillar is humanitarian medical aid. So we were already doing humanitarian aid in Ukraine, doing the frontline stuff. But then, like, Hurricane Helene happened in North Carolina. We were one of the largest nonprofits there. And because of our skills, we were rappelling down mountainsides where no one would go in, and people were isolated on the side of the mountains. And since I'm a special operations EMT, went to that through MARSOC, so I can carry and push narcotics and all this stuff. And I'm an EMT. And then some of our guys who are SARCs are corpsmen or PJs. So we were rappelling down the mountains where people the road was broke up 5 miles ago, and we're providing insulin and like rendering medical aid and like finding those people who were in that hurricane who were cut off from all civilization. Then we did the Texas floods this past year,
Yep.
and we were and again we used our gifts and talents. We're all combat divers, so we started diving, pulling out bodies of the kids from that Camp Mystic. And again, dude, another massive, just whole entire other story. And then we did the California fires, and I helped in like a mile stretch. We helped like 8 families who were like being burned, and one of them ended up being RFK Jr. And so I helped protect his house for 3 days from being burned down, and now he's a good friend. And
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good friend to have too.
yeah,
Yeah, he's a phenomenal dude.
yeah, exactly. And I don't ever ask him for things because I don't want.
Yeah.
I like authentic relationships, and like and a guy like that, everyone always has some quid pro quo, and so I just really enjoy friendships and authentic ones. So so we did that, and that was all last year, and then we went to Burma with Free Burma Rangers, and we did that whole thing.
With
Dave Eubanks,
and then who's the SEAL?
Stronghold.
Yeah. Oh man, his name is blank. He's the SEAL that was in Missoula. Got shot.
Begins with Ephraim.
Ephraim Matos.
So I didn't work with a Stronghold, but Free Burma Rangers are a sister organization. Massive shout out to Dave Eubanks and Free Burma Rangers.
I met David.
Okay, cool. Where?
Crazy story. I was in Mosul, and I was up scouting a place to set up a sniper hide. Literally turned down the street, and there's this pickup driving towards me, and I was like, okay, in fact, there was no like, the front line was back and forth. So you're like, okay, what's this? And I saw it was an American in there, and like this American drive this pickup truck in the middle of a war-torn Mosul, and so he gets out and he's like, oh, you're an American? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm David Eubanks. I'm with the Free Burma Rangers. I was like, okay, cool. And at the time, I was like, all right, what? I was kind of like, who is this guy? But he's like, can I pray for you real quick? And he prayed for me, got back in his truck, and drove to the front lines.
Yeah.
No clue who that dude was until after the deployment. I was like, holy crap, dude. Like, that's the guy I met. Yeah.
Yeah. Dave, if you don't know who Free Burma Rangers are, Dave Eubanks, man, I don't want to talk him up and like sound like blasphemy, but like I try to explain him like the modern day Moses. Like I've worked with him in the Afghan evacs in the Panjshir Valley and then in Burma, and that guy has like a red line to God. Like when he prays, like miracles rain down. Like he is extremely inspirational and like in the front, like not like 5 miles back and we're like, oh, we're at the front line. He's like shoulder to shoulder in the front constantly, and a massive believer. Just his organization's so pure and everything like that. That's why, like I said, we're big supporters. They're a sister organization, and I love everything he's doing, But yeah. So we did the Burma thing, and then Israel, if you remember in the news last year, the Iran 12, they call it the 12-day war with Israel. So 12-day war with Israel and Iran. Iran's launching all those missiles, hypersonic ballistic. So what does the State Department, all of them do? They left. They left all of the American behind. So we came again. So I came into Jordan, and it took me and 2 other guys from Heroes for Humanity. Took a surgeon and another operator from us, and we came in to Jericho, Jerusalem, and then Tel Aviv, and we pulled out 92 Americans in the 9 of the 12-day war. And dude, when I say, so I did the whole invasion of Ukraine and the first 9 months, and I thought like, there's nothing that can ever compare to that. It's World War III with modern day technology. I've been blown up so many times and watched so many like missiles to artillery fire to all that stuff in the invasion of Ukraine, tanks to everything. Helicopter and but hypersonic like looking at the sky, especially at night, it was like Star Wars with the what's it called, the dome,
Yeah.
and them shooting it down and just some hitting. And so after my experience in Ukraine and just in combat and IEDs, and then Ukraine, I've never been hypersonic ballistic missile before. And when I tell you, like, it's not like cool and like bravado, I was so terrified. Like when the first one came down and blew up, and when I saw when they say hyper, like you know, if you see something like that, you like see it and then you're like, oh, it's trailing. Right when you see it, you see it's already blowing up. And one of the ones that hit right next to our spot we were staying, we were outside, and we felt the shock wave through your skeleton. And that's when my stomach sunk again, just like in Ukraine. I was like, dude, this is absolutely terrifying. And like,
Mm.
like I can't explain that because but like that's where it fell back to my foundation in Christ. Like, hey, God knew us the amount of hairs on our head before we were born, and if we were meant to die out there and die to helping people who needed out, who and doing the right thing, then it was worth it. And seeing that right there, there is no time to react. It was like there's nothing you could do, and that's why it was so scary. It was like, but then we cooled down, prayed about it. Was like, hey, that's how you would go out and saving people. So, but all these Americans were left behind who shouldn't even be there. You know, they got caught at weddings. Some were graduating. Some were just visiting their family in there. And now it locked down, and the place is just being demolished. So we pulled them out, and luckily, you know, everything happened in we were able to, like I said, ultimately get 92 out in the 9 days.
That's
So,
insane.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then 2 days after that, the floods happened in Texas.
Yeah, I remember seeing you down there, seeing videos of you down there digging.
Yeah, and that was heartbreaking. But again, some of your gifts and talents aren't necessarily from soft. Some of your gifts and talents was the hardened skin that you developed in combat, so that you like in the mountains of North Carolina. I use a specific example. It's the same thing with Texas. Uh, well, if you don't send the new guy out to do that, that will mess him up.
Yeah.
But because we have toughened skin and combat hardened through that, and so used to it, we kick guys out and be like, guys, no, this one's mine, and I'm gonna own it. And even though it kills you and eats you up, that's what a leader does. He bears the weight and the burden to see that and do that, so that no one else has to. So we were diving and pulling out bodies and kids to give those families reassurance. And we were able to help so many other people. That actions that happened at Camp Mystic and the Kerrville floods, when we did our indoc, because to become an operator at Heroes for Humanity, we do indocs. It filled our class of like 20 people who heard what we were doing. So we filled it with like 20 candidates. And because of that, at Indoc, we baptized 11 people who all didn't know who we were, and all it's from that flood, then went to go on and try out for a selection, and then found Christ. And at the end of it, 11 of them volunteered and wanted to be baptized. And man, just how God works is from like service to the Afghan to you, all this other that it's just we talked earlier, and I said just the journey of the credit roll at the end of the movie, like I'm just so thankful and walking around with inner peace and just so happy how life turned out now.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's everything that you've been through, man. I mean, and your story is no different than a lot of other guys that we all serve with, right? And I think that's what I find, like, when you get out and, everyone's like, oh, you guys are special. Like, and I think from our standpoint, like, no, we're not, dude. Like, I'm just like any other dude that worked beside me. But I think to be fair to the people that think you're special, it's like we're so used to being around like the same minded individuals that have the same drive and whatever. And it does, like, that does set you apart. It's unique, right? But to see like someone like you use like all those specialties and everything that the military had instilled in you, all the qualifications, and then to see you using them now to rescue people instead of, like you said, from taking lives to saving lives.
Yeah.
Using love instead of hatred and putting all those skills into that is pretty amazing, and it's inspirational, man. I think, like, for guys out there, because I think there's a lot of other guys from our profession that are kind of like lost, right? They still have that drive and like, dude, I want to do something. And I think we're all built in service. Like, we want to serve something for a higher purpose, right? That's why we joined special operations, because that was our, like, this is the higher purpose. And so I think for guys who are wandering around trying to find that, to see what you're doing, it gives them an opportunity. Like, hey, like you said, I want to join the team. I want to do something. But it also shows them like, yes, dude, there is life after this. And I think what I've seen with the veteran community, and it's, I think more on the online, whatever, right? You see the toxicity and drama and everybody attacking each other. And it's because we're all trying to find a target. We're all trying to find a mission, but if there's not one presented, you're going to use all that drive, and some of it is still fueled by hatred. If guys have not transitioned, they'll just turn it on each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, now you're the target, and now I'm going to do everything I can. If they just find one little thing, and I think that needs to, like, guys need to be like, hey man, what is driving you right now? You need to take a step back and be like, okay, what is driving me to go after this individual or this group? Like, what is that serving you? Rather than shift that focus and start like helping people, take that, all that hatred. And I think, guys need to actually take time to process as well and work on themselves, which we don't do either. It's one thing to the next. And as I'm listening to you, to say all these things that you're doing now, I can't help but also think, like, in the back of my head, like, where do you see yourself in like 5 to 10? Do you see yourself 5 to 10 years still just running and gunning, trying to do these things? Because eventually, you have 4 kids, so it's like, and there is no, like, nothing wrong like going out and trying to help others, right? It's just because I think about this all the time too when I find myself traveling and doing all these things. I'm like, okay, I need to take a step back. Like, these are the human beings that I'm trying, like, that are most important to me is my kids who I need to save.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, scripture talks about that, you know, that your wife and your family are your first church and your first responsibility. So the good thing so we actually are that true definition of a family organization. So when we go to Indoc, we invite your kids to come out. So I coined the phrase now: kids who play together, pray together. So while they're watching dad train, or maybe even mom train to be an operator, our wives are cooking together and being our support team. Our kids are playing together, and they're seeing, and we're developing the culture in that. So our kids are deeply involved, and everyone's kids are, and family are. But at the same time, in that 5-year thing that you asked, I had a really good mentor, Jared Helms. Amazing story. He's going to write a book. I think it comes out later this year. One of the most amazing individuals I ever met. And he said, when are you going to stop essentially running and gunning? He said, when are you going to stop being an enlisted man and start being an officer? And he said, I'm putting it in terms that you'll understand. And I love that, because it was right at the season exactly when I needed to hear it. Because all last year in 2025, I said all those missions, I was burning it to the ground to pave in the infrastructure to be repeatable and scalable without me. Because if you build an organization that you're the sole entity that it all goes around, then you did yourself disfavor. You built yourself a monument, not an organization. So this past year, I really, really focused on developing team leaders, equipping them, and that middle management, and then meeting, like, when I go to Burma and do Free Burma Rangers, they have met CEO to CEO. We did missions together. We were on the front lines together. We established that relationship. So next year, when I send this guy in my stead and my team, they're like, hey, he's with here. And every 2 years or so, you go back to remain that relationship and that whatever, and concrete that. So that's where we're at now. So if in 5 years I find myself doing that, then I failed along the way. So how can I be more of a platoon commander? That's where the role I'm stepping into now is how can I just overall manage training, scalability, repeatability, and have my team leaders on the ground be the middle management, and they report back to me. And I provide intel packages, missions, and supervise so I can give them and that's what we all did last year.
Nice.
So it's been a massive blessing for that one. And so that Heroes for Many isn't just Dennis Pratt. Like, how can it be where it's still a ministry? It's a surrogate for people to serve. And if you're not a believer, that's okay. I always say a qualification isn't being a follower of Christ there. I said, if you'll become a believer on the way, you'll see the miracles that are about to happen. And so it just provides guys a thing to serve others and just
Yeah.
help people in need.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's why I asked that question because some people would be like, "Oh, I have no idea," but it sounds like you already have a whole plan, and you're doing exactly what the military trains you to do. It's like training the person below you to
Yep.
take your job.
Exactly.
That's if something happens to me, I have no issues you filling my shoes because you've been trained up to do that, and it does relieve you of some
Yeah.
burdens at the same time.
And this past year we just built out. They're in a they're in a process stage where they had to do 1 year, and we built out a Eastern division. So we're based out of Texas as the headquarters, but we have operators, about 68 to 72 operators around the U.S. But we just built out a East Coast division. So now we empower those guys, and just like any kind of schoolhouse, like sniper school, there's multiple ones. I have to just certify and validate that you're running as per curriculum. We are. So this upcoming year, they're going to start opening their selection process per spec, and they're training in our calendar year what all the national teams are training now. So that we can continue to make this, because every large city, I don't care if it's Heroes from any, they need people and an organization that people can help out. If it's counter human trafficking, if it's floods, hurricanes, how can veterans and people come together, train and at high elite levels and help each other?
Yeah.
So
No, that's awesome, man. And you're able to fund all of this through donations, correct?
yeah, it's all donor based. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so it's all tax deductible. And we did it with nothing coming up. Actually, that's how I started to go to Ukraine. I sold my plasma twice a week for 9 months just to go to fund my own operation to go and serve for people for free, you know? So I literally put my blood, sweat, and tears because I just believed in the mission. And just like how I don't want to ever have excuses. If like I built this organization backwards where we had an overload of missions and no funding, where most guys will ask for funding and then find a way to do nonprofit stuff. So we were truly tested with faith. What you do with little, you're expecting much, and then when you get much, you're expecting much. So um, the ebbs and flows of donations and stuff, we're openly looking for corporate sponsors, especially this year because the government shut down. We lost 2 sponsors, and another guy's business tanked 15 million. So we got cut last year. So I don't know how it looks, but I just know we'll keep saying yes, 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 and volunteering to serve. And in the scripture it says, first seek the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all else will come unto thee. So just focus on just doing the right thing. And if funding happens, cool. If not, I'll go back to selling my plasma. Like it's as simple as, are you really in it to help people? Or are you in it because it's paying right now? Because we had to pay our own way the whole entire time, So
So where can people donate? And we're going to throw the link below as well.
yeah, so on Instagram, it's the best way. It's at heroes.4.humanity. That's where we publish all of our stuff. On the website, theheroes4for humanity.org. That's where they can go and find on donations. Like if they want to sponsor operators coming through next year's NDOC, we're running 3 NDOCs: spring, summer, fall. If people want to sponsor an operator to help fund our NDOC or operations, they can donate or fund a whole entire NDOC. We'd like to do that, and a country that we do, because we typically do 4 to 6 countries a year, and that got cut at the beginning because
of the shutdown.
Yeah, this shutdown. So we're having to really spike up and try. We're still going to do the right thing, but we're just going to keep praying and see where God wants us.
And are people able to, if they go on there to donate, they're also able to see testimonials on that site, or is that on a different platform?
Some of them are on that one. The Instagram is the best one, just because it's published so much every day. Where the website, it might be 3 months backing and whatever, but the Instagram it has everything from there, testimonials, and then
Yeah, because I think that speaks volumes. If people can see okay, boom, there's testimonials from people that drives people to be like, okay, my money's going to the right place. Awesome. Yeah, we'll put the Instagram link below too, man.
No, I greatly appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah, we've been going for a couple hours now, but hey, it's been, dude, awesome.
No,
Dave, you got anything?
great story. No, I love it. I love that. I like your question of you phasing yourself out. I think a lot of that's the only part that I'm like, okay, like this, scaling yourself out of your business, so to speak. I think a lot of private, there's lots of business coaches and stuff like that. But I mean, y- yes, get some of their advice, but it's your baby, and so some of that is separating yourself, and that's a tough. That may be the toughest process of all because you want to be in there and you want to be flying over there and doing that and starting to like it's a different role. But it sounds like your story is so similar to a lot of guys up to the point that you almost commit suicide, right? But then a lot of guys like just flounder there and they stay in that in between. And for you to take some action, take a direction from the Lord and start, just moving, I think is really helpful. Just moving in a direction and taking it along the way. Like I wish so many other guys had your story, where after they transitioned out, they were able to find some purpose, find some mission, and have some direction.
Yeah. And these are obviously the highlight reels, and like looking at it, it looks smooth and gravy, but like there's a lot of bumps and bruises. There's a lot of pain and torment. And just like what you said, like there's a lot of bad things I did in my past, like where I was not in a good headspace and whatever, but ultimately God will use that to glorify him.
Yeah.
And that's the main message I want to keep, like,
And what you did in your past does not define who you are right now.
yes.
Yeah.
Really good quote from Mother Teresa. She said, every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. So I really like that. And most people don't know that 2/3 of the New Testament is written from a guy named Paul. Well, previously his name was Saul, who was known as one of the baddest men throughout all the land, who hunted and persecuted thousands of Christians, hunted them down and killed them just for being Christians. And an amazing transformation from Saul to Paul is God, I don't want to say sniped him, but he bound him for 3 days in pain and blindness and turned him from Saul to Paul to be one of the largest evangelists and people in all of Christianity, enough to write 2/3 of the New Testament. So it doesn't matter who you were. Uh, and you always, no matter what you think you did in your past,
Yep.
God will use it.
I think that is probably one of the most gangster moves God always does, right? Because I think, you see these people who have a lot of influence, or like people like Saul, who's definitely had some attributes where it's like, dude, he was good at his job.
Right.
And you would think, I think Christians are like, oh, we need to take him out, like kill him for doing this, where God's like, no, 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 no. I'm going to take him and bring him on our team.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is like how powerful God is, right? He's so above and beyond how we can think as mortals. And he's like, no, 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 no. Watch this. And I think he does that with so many of us as well, especially guys from our past career. It's like, this dude he was doing the wrong things, but man, he was good at it. He has like all these traits that we could use on our side. And so I've seen him do that through so many individuals, including yourself, including myself, which is awesome. Yeah, man. Well, dude, before you take off and we end here, we got a sponsor, Firecracker Farms. I don't know if you're a big foodie or not, but this is our buddy Alex who created this company. So it's a hot salt that you put on anything pretty much, egg, steak. People put it in their coffee. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. That one's not as bad. That flavor was designed by a former Green Beret, which is why it's called Snake Eater. But I take it with me everywhere, man. I put it on everything, dude. So it's that good. Yeah, we should give that to every guest that comes on.
Oh, thank you so much. I actually started really getting into salt due to wrestling and all sort of stuff.
Yep. It's got the pink Himalayan salt in it, man. And that's a cool thing. It's healthy for you.
Yeah.
So
no, thank you so much.
Yeah, brother. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for coming down. And like I said, we're going to post all the links below for guys to, or anybody that's listening and wants to donate or get involved in some form or fashion.
No, thank you so much. And anyone else who wants to, like I mentioned, Free Burma Rangers, please support them as well. Scout Sniper Association. I just joined the board, and
which that's a huge honor, man. I don't think people realize, coming from that community, I know that's a huge honor.
Yeah, and I just want to like be a surrogate to have them reach out and know that you have someone to fall upon. If you don't want to do ours, go somewhere and don't suffer in silence. That ends when you get your DE 214. You need to seek your community.
Yeah.
So
good word.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Out.
Hey, what's up, guys? So when I'm not doing the podcast, I'm doing a lot of traveling. I put on training all over the country for LE and civilians. I also travel a lot for my nonprofit, the Pipe Hitter Foundation. And as you guys know, travel going back and forth can wear you down. But this past year, I have found the antidote. So let me put you on to Aquavita, Destin's premier IV therapy and oxygen bar. This place is owned and operated by a board-certified ER physician with over 23 years of experience, so you know your health is in good hands. Every IV drip is mixed to Board of Pharmacy standards and backed by CDC-level infection control. Whether you're dealing with a fatigue, a hangover, jet lag, stress, immunity issues, or even PMS, they've got custom vitamin drips and boosters tailored just for that. When you go inside, the place is pretty awesome. It puts you at ease right when you go in there. They have comfy lounge chairs, which are perfect for singles or couples, full group sessions. And you can even book the whole space for bachelor or bachelorette parties, race day recovery, or wellness events. While you're in there, they go the extra mile too. They'll give you blankets, sleep masks, earplugs, aromatherapy oxygen, all complimentary. And the best part, every visit includes direct care from the physician and experienced RNs, all focused on fast, safe, and affordable wellness. So if you're in the Destin area, hit up Aquavita. Your body will definitely thank you.